Students, today what we are going to see one important chapter in algebra, which is nothing but sets. Now, in everyday life, we come across the word collection of different objects. And when it comes about collection, in algebra, we always try to recollect sets. Let's see one simple example over here. A class is a collection of students. You can see the word class. A team is collection of player. A family is collection of persons. A shop is collection of articles. A library is collection of books. So in maths, when we say collection of objects, we often come across the word sets. Let's now define sets. Set is defined as, let me define sets as, set is defined as a collection of well-defined objects. Collection of well-defined objects. Can you see well-defined objects? Now I need to define every single object, and for that I'll give you various illustrations that which all illustrations are termed as sets and which all are not. Let's see. Over here I have given some 6 examples over here. Let's see one by one and try and understand whether they are set or not. If I happen to look at the first one, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And students, I think so my students know that what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are? They are nothing but the first 5 natural numbers. So am I in a position to say that these are first 5 natural numbers? Indeed yes. Right? So I can say that this is nothing but a set. When I say the second one, A, E, I, O, U, my students must be aware about it. What are they termed as? They are termed as vowels in English alphabet. So am I in a position to define A, E, I, O, U? Indeed, yes. They are nothing but vowels in English alphabet. And that's why this example number 2 is also a set. Let's see the third example. Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai. Now if you recollect, these are nothing but 4 metropolitan cities of India. They are the 4 major metropolitan cities of India. Again, I am in a position to define them. So I can say the example number 3 is also a set. If I happen to say the fourth example, see what the fourth example has to say. All quadrilaterals in geometry. When I say all quadrilaterals in geometry, we can say square, parallelogram, rectangle, kite, trapezium, rhombus. All these are nothing but quadrilaterals. And my students know what are quadrilaterals. Any 4-sided figure is termed as a quadrilateral. So yes, we are in a position to define all of them in this particular illustration. So again I can say example number 4 is nothing but a set. Let's see example number 5. All rich people in your town. Let me give you a simple example. I say Mr. X. Say Mr. X has 1 million rupees. 1 million rupees is quite good enough. So should I say Mr. X is rich people in this particular town? For the time being, yes, I should include Mr. X in this particular set. But immediately comes Mr. Y. He says that I am having 10 million rupees. Now, should I include Mr. X who is having 1 million? Or should I include Mr. Y who is having 10 million? With respect to X, Y is richer. With respect to X, Y is richer. Immediately comes Mr. Z. Mr. Z says, I am having 100 million rupees. Now, should I place Mr. X, Mr. Y or Mr. Z in this particular set? With respect to X, Y is richer. With respect to Y, Z is richer. And that's why I am not in a position to conclude myself who is richer. So whenever there is a with respect to term, whenever there is a relative term where we are not in a position to define a particular object, we say it is not a set. Over here, I am not in a position to define whether X, Y or Z should come under the rich people of your town or not. And that's why I say that this is not a set. Let us take the 6th example. All clever students in your class. Say, Preeti comes and says, one of the child, Preeti comes and says that sir, I scored 91%. 91 is not bad enough. So should I say Preeti is clever child? As of now, yes. Immediately the second child by the name as Roshan says, sir, I get 93%. 93 is bigger than 91. So should I include Preeti or should I include Roshan? With respect to Preeti, Roshan is clever. Immediately the third child, says that I am getting 95%. Now should I include the child scoring 95 over here or 93 over here? So with respect to 91, 93 is greater. With respect to 93, 95 is greater. We are not in a position to say who shall come in this particular set, and that's why this is also not a set. So once again, set is nothing but collection of well-defined objects. Set is nothing but collection of well-defined objects. And where we define object, we say those are sets. Where we are not in a position to define any object, or when it's a relative term or a with respect to term, it is not a set. And finally, every object in a set is termed as a member or element. Every object in a set is termed as a member or a element. That is what I'll tell you much more in my second video. Thank you.